recording is coming. All right, everybody, welcome to November Community of Practice. I'm Michelle Markle. I'm the YTP coordinator with vocational rehabilitation. And we have some guests with us today, but first let's have our YTP management crew. Everybody introduce yourselves and say hello, please. Starting with Garrett.
Hello, I'm Garrett. I'm the YTP technical assistant provider for
What's that?
the Northwest. And we have an echo.
Maybe we should.
I think it's not.
Okay, try that again.
Hello?
Can you guys hear him?
Can you hear me?
Okay, that was me. Sorry, everybody.
So I'm Garrett. I'm the technical assistance provider for the Northwest. And go ahead, sorry.
Should I unmute?
No. Let's talk.
Hi, this client. Nicole said can't hear very well. Can other people hear? Is volume up? Thanks for that. Could that be in the middle? Should it be more?
Well, it's going to be fine. Speak up.
Okay. After we introduce, let us know. Audio is quiet. All right. Hi, Mary Jo Erickson, technical assistant provider for Lane County, and then Douglas, who's heard down there. Hey, nice to see you with all these cameras on and your smiling faces.
Hi, I'm Chris Douglas, technical assistant provider for Kearney, Grant, Malheur, Southern Oregon, Corvallis, Lane Bend, Lincoln counties.
So the hearing is an issue, so let's
Yes,
see how
getting
the.
better. I
it will
changed
get-
it.
Okay,
And I'm Jesse Berkey from.
Hello, Team Hillsborough.
Yeah,
Okay, Garrett just
Hillsborough.
monkeyed with my audio settings. Is that any better? Any better?
I see the shaking
Yes,
of
better?
heads. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Okay, and Jesse.
Yeah. Again, Jesse Berkey here, Mid-Willamette Valley, so
Jesse
Salem,
must be on
actually.
mute.
No,
north.
everybody else can hear Jesse, but we can't yet
Oh,
now.
okay.
Hold on.
As long as everyone else can hear him, we're fine. We
Yeah,
know who he
we're
is.
good.
But if we can't hear, that's a problem.
That's right.
Testing. Jesse, will you say
I
hello?
hear you. Yeah, I've got you.
No?
Put that back to system speaker, so click on that.
Everybody's in one room down in Eugene except.
One
for-
more time? No.
We don't, you don't have any,
That's
Michelle,
Have someone
sorry.
else talk and see if we can hear it. Is it just Jesse?
And anybody else test talking?
Test talking.
Yeah. CJ, you got, yeah.
Yeah.
You're good.
Hello.
We can hear. We can hear.
Yeah, Corey, we got you from LeGrand.
Yeah, I can hear everybody. I can't.
Okay, good. We just had to start out with a little
Of course,
interaction.
always gotta start out with a little interaction. Great, okay. And today, you guys, it's, and Sally.
Oh,
Hi, Sally.
Hi, I'm Sally Simich, Oregon Department of Ed. Good to see everybody here on this bright, sunshiny day in Eugene. We are.
Yes. Being in person, it throws us off now, or it throws me off anyway, with the technology. So today, you guys, we are here for a couple of different things. The first part of our community of practice, we have guests from Umatilla tribe. We've got Janine and Jacqueline here to talk about the value and possibility and opportunities of partnering with our tribal VR partners. And I'm really excited about this. It's something that is, we just wanted to make it more accessible and have people understand the possibilities at a wider level. And this team really does a great job in their region. So they're here to talk with us about kind of like big picture stuff, dialing down a little bit and talk about how their team works. And then we have some announcements at the end of the community of practice about our plans for the IGA for next year. Just a quick announcement about that. All right. Janine and Jacqueline, where are you? I've lost you on my screen.
We're here.
You're here. All right. Whenever you're ready to share screen, you guys want to say hello and introduce yourselves really quickly and then share.
My name's Janine Lynn. I work with Tribal Vocational Rehabilitation as a case manager for the Confederated Tribes of the Umatilla Indian Reservation in Oregon.
I am Jacqueline Jones. I am a voc rehab specialist here at Utah Indian Reservation and in Dallas, same place.
We're so happy you're here today. Thank you for being here with us.
And our supervisors, Susie Calhoun couldn't be here today because she's double booked, so she's usually the voice that you hear.
It's nice to spend some time with you guys. Okay. Janine and Jacqueline, do you want people to put questions in the chat along the way, or just unmute and ask if they have any, or do you have a preference at all?
I don't have a preference. It's kind of hard for me to follow the chat, so if you want to.
I can help monitor, yeah.
That would be great.
All right.
Also, we're seeing your presenter view at this point. Oh, and you're changing that.
Now you see it?
Still the presenter view
The
here.
notes view. Oh, yeah, yeah.
My view isn't the notes view. It's like, oh, then.
There you go.
How's that?
Just start the presentation and then reshare your screen. That should work.
I also see a little thing called use presenter view checked. That might be a weird default you have going on.
I can see that one, so.
Can you ask them to rename themselves and put their sites?
Oh, yeah.
It would really help with the.
Friends online, while we're doing this, could you rename yourself and put your site in your name so that we can get an accurate count and of who's in attendance, please? Sharon, are you able to hear yet?
If I'm gonna do that, then I can't. Share my screen. See.
That's funny. I guess she can't hear because I said it and she put it in the chat.
We lose our presenters.
Nope, they are. They stopped
they're still
sharing
there.
screen and are working on sharing screen again, right? Yeah.
You know, sort of, every time I get my screen up, then I can't see you guys to share the screen.
Do you want you to share your screen?
I can share my screen if you'd like. I also, there we go. Hey, that worked. Woohoo, perseverance.
This is why I hate technology.
Yeah, we're all there with you, don't you worry.
Okay. So we're here to talk about the benefits of partnering with your local tribes. This is the view of our governance center building with the Confederated Tribes of the Utah Indian Reservation in Pelican, Oregon. We are a government within the state of Oregon since the Treaty of 1855. The Treaty of 1855 protects our rights, not given to us by the treaty, but protected by the treaty. So these are rights that we already had, but are protected by the treaty. We continue to protect those rights for the first foods, lands, water, people, and laws with the services that we provide. We're governed by a board of trustees, which consists of 9 tribal members who are voted into office, and they are governed by the general council, which is the tribal members itself. Tribal vocational rehabilitation is mandated to partner with the federal, state, and local partners toward the success of our community through services. And it's important that you know that's a mandate, just like the state is mandated to partner with programs, we are also mandated. That's just part of what's written in. We have a rich cultural heritage and that we continue to practice today. This is a picture of when you first enter into our governance center. This is the floor in the center when you first walk into our governance center. We are 3 tribes that are the Confederated tribes consist of the Umatilla tribe, the Walla Walla tribe, and the Cayuse tribes. So CQRR has many tribal programs, including education, which covers all of these, including Head Start program and a charter school for the high school. We're still working on, the plans are that they'll have lower class grades at some point, but right now the Head Start and the charter school are the main ones. There's also a early learning class that is totally language. So it's younger kids, younger than Head Start, that is all immersion for language. There's Department of Family Services, which provide all of our 477 services, general assistance, foster care, workforce.
Janine, oh, sorry.
Yes.
Are these services that our YTP transition specialist students, families could also be accessing?
Yes, depending on, okay, so this is our tribe. So within the Confederate Tribes of Umatilla Indian Reservation, these are our services, and if they are a tribal member within our service area, they can access these services. Each tribe is different. Within our tribe, we serve, some of our programs serve other federally recognized tribal members, some of them do not. So it depends on the service.
Okay.
Human Resources Tribal Vocational Rehabilitation is located within Human Resources, so we're right in the hiring area for the tribe. There's also courts enrollment, deals with coming into and becoming tribal members for our tribe, so they deal with all the family records, birth to death, the tribal identification, things like that. Other services, housing, police, fire, Department of Natural Resources, public works, planning. I just heard today that the Confederate Tribes of the Umatilla Indian Reservation has the largest public transit system in our area, and it's all free. Economic development, finance, legal department, tribal courts, information and technology. So.
Wow.
We also have a youth council. The youth council comes from all of the area schools. They're voted in just like the board of trustees, and they are modeled after the board of trustees. So they come in, they get voted into service, and then they talk about the important things in the youth council that they need to talk about, that they can bring forward to the tribe. It's a look at what the future could hold for government for the children. So. We hold youth workshops. This one was a suicide prevention workshop, but it's all toward engaging the youth and bringing them into being a voice for their community. Sports. Yellow Hot Clinic serves all federally recognized tribes. If you live within the reservation boundaries, if you're outside the reservation boundaries, you might be able to receive direct services, not to be oh, no, can't be referred out if you're not living within the reservation boundaries. So there's behavioral health, medical services, and Native connections. They have pharmacy. We just this past 3 years, I think, had opened up our own vision clinic. And this last year, they opened up their own physical therapy area, wellness WIC.
We have a couple of questions in the chat here. Does Silet's tribe have a similar format, and are there tribes with similar services in the Lane County area that you know of?
Okay, there's another slide that will tell you more information about that.
Okay.
So Silet's does have similar services. I have to, let me look, when we get to that slide, I'll tell you a little bit more.
Okay.
Because I have certain things documented that I don't want to confuse Silet's and Grand Ron. I do it all the time.
Gotcha. Thank you.
So this is where the Umatilla Reservation is located within the state of Oregon. Originally, it was this lighter brown boundary. This was the land that was ceded to the states in the 1855 treaty. The original treaty contained this, but thanks to many government programs, we are now down to the dark red here. But we still serve within 65 miles of our service area for tribal VR. We don't want to go into all the why we're down to that little area. Okay, tribes come with their own resources, benefits to students, participants. We work to maximize success through partnerships. Many tribes have MOUs or MOAs with school districts in place and or with colleges and universities in and out of the state. I know that within our area, we have a MOU with Walla Walla, which is across the boundaries into Washington. There's tribal members who attend Walla Walla Community College are given the in-state prizes for tuition. And we do that we have that with similar with other colleges too, but Walla Walla is the one that comes to mind. This is a picture of the Pilgrim Roundup participation within the arena during the roundup. And we don't know who this gentleman was, but it was just a really nice picture of how disabilities are not necessarily seen within the tribes. So I don't know how far that is. That's probably what the grass in the arena, you have to go across about 30 feet of dirt to get into the arena. And he's probably over halfway into the arena. The arena is over the size of a football field. So that's quite a ways to get in, and it's all tore up on the ground because they run the horses and cows through there. So moving you know, it's important that all tribal members are able to be included in our cultural activities. So tribal vocational rehabilitation offers self-empowerment, opportunity, informed choice, employment outcomes, and cultural activities, ceremonies, and traditional healing for a holistic approach to services. One of the things that separates tribal vocational rehabilitation from state vocational rehabilitation is that we can include cultural activities for a holistic approach to healing. And that's not, the state is not able to offer that. So that's one of the biggest things that we offer, is to keep the cultural piece in there. Services can include, but not necessarily, because it's all individualized. Each service is individualized per client. So coaching, job development, mentoring, culturally appropriate services, which include interbalance classes. We put on classes, culturally appropriate classes within VR itself. Spiritual healing, ceremonies, community wellness. Depending on the client's needs, work clothing, training, GED, high school, higher education, on-the-job training, CDL, work with the trades. Currently, we have 8 students enrolled in high school, GED high school programs right now. As a partner, our system for services is similar to OBR. It's an offshoot, I believe. You use Orca, and the tribes use, I'm drawing a blank, Aware, which is, it's similar, but there are slight differences. It's made by the same program producers. We refer all non-tribal members in our service area to OBR, and we will hand walk them to the door if that's what needs to be. There are people who are non-federally recognized tribes. So some states, California in particular, has tribes that are state recognized but not federally recognized. And our grant requires they be federally recognized tribal members. So we would refer those people to OBR. We seek us to assist and partner with OBR whenever we can. We also work with other tribal programs such as, so for our 8 students that are currently trying for their high school diploma in GED, we work with the BMCC, which is the local college for GED. We also work with our tribal education program, and we are working currently with Walla Walla Community College. They have a high school 21 program where students can graduate with a regular high school diploma instead of a GED, and we're working currently with that program. We work with other tribal programs when applicable. Because of our service areas, it's kind of hard, but we do meet with different councils to share information. I know that Susie is mentoring different. We have a new director in a Nevada program, and Susie is mentoring her, so she meets with her once or twice a month, a mentor, and then within there's any other questions that come up. We provide culturally relevant training for OBR staff and other areas, education, the schools. We can provide that training for anybody who requests it. And we offer our partners the cultural approaches and understanding our tribal people in a holistic way. A lot of people do not understand the historic trauma that's involved with tribes. and government. And so I know it's been a couple hundred, they still are things that are passed down from generation to generation. Don't trust the government, don't open the door, don't tell them you need help. They'll still fall true today. And we sometimes clients are just more comfortable working with someone who they see in their community, and we offer that approach whenever possible. So part of the RSA mandates 15% of their money with OVR goes to youth transition services. So because of that, only state VR can offer the free eds to students. The tribe can offer outreach. We can talk with parents, we can talk with students, we can share information. We can attend IEP meetings only at their invitation. And then once, for our program, once a student is 18, then we open up TVR to work with them directly. So because pre-eds is a state program, often clients are state clients before there are tribal clients, because state starts working with them when they're 16. Our grant specifically states that we work with 18 years and older. Each tribal grant, there's 5 tribes within the state of Oregon that have the VR grants. Each grant is different. We work every 5 years. Our grants are a competitive grant. We have to compete against 88 other tribes who are applying for this money. And when we write our grants, it has to be approved from RSA. And once it's approved, we are set in that grant for 5 years. So our grant currently does not include individuals under the age of 18, but they're covered by OVR and Y2P. So that's part of why we don't write our grant. Collaboration is to increase employment outcomes for American Indian tribal participants. We consult with the 5 tribes, with the state. And we also have a SRC, State Rehabilitation Council. Susie sits on the State Rehabilitation Council. Our goals are always strong partnership between state VR, tribal VR, other agencies to increase the capacity of VR counselors and to provide information and knowledge to help them work with American Indians to reach their employment goals. In our area, there is only one VR counselor, and she covers all of Umatilla County. She covers, I think they said 5 high schools. And
Are you talking Diane? Diane's with us here on the call. If you want to say
let's-
hello, Diane.
so Diane's booked to the max, and we're here to help her whenever possible to meet those goals. And Diane is an excellent partner. I've been with TVR for over 10 years now, and we have worked hand in hand with Diane through that whole time that I've been here. And I can't say enough about how smoothly our program runs when we're working side by side with her. There's never been a who does what, who doesn't. That's not my area. We've always worked together.
Janine, it's Diane. you and Susie and Jacqueline make it easy. You guys are great to work with. And I'm sure everyone on this call who are connected with other tribes are going to be jealous I have you instead of them.
Well, our goal here is to make sure that everybody has the outreach and ability to find those tribal partners to work with them. So, and hopefully everybody can have the partnership that we have with Diane. Oregon has 9 federally recognized tribes across the state of Oregon. Each of them has a government to government relationship with the state. The state of Oregon has tribal liaison workers in the Office of Education. Currently, for Grand Ronde, Angie Campbell was that member, and Ramona Halcomb with our tribe, but things change, so I'm not sure exactly if those people have changed or not. Who is your closest VR partner? So each of the red represents the 9 federally recognized tribes. Currently, Umatilla, Warm Springs, Grand Ronde, Siletz, and Klamath are the 5 tribes that hold the VR programs. I know that Grand Ronde, Siletz, and Warm Springs all cover Portland in some capacity. I just don't know what their guidelines are to where their lines reach. And each grant is different. Like I said, our grant stays 65 miles from the reservation boundaries. So each grant is different as to where they focused on. So Warm Springs just recently got their grant back. And they serve all federally recognized tribes, but their grant just came back in October. So whether or not they're up and running, we have not heard. We have only heard that they do have their grant. Grand Ronde only serves Grand Ronde tribal members. Klamath only serves Klamath tribal members. And Umatilla and Siletz serve all federally recognized tribal members within their service area. And those are your 5 tribes with the VR service with the stars. And if you are looking at the Department of Human Services, they have a link to this website here that gives you more information about each of the tribes. Any questions? So I know you asked about Siletz. And Siletz was one of the ones that serves all federally recognized tribes. So that's what their VR. So each of the tribes have similar setups. The government board
There for a second, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Maybe just the last sentence, you just cut out.
Okay. Each of our governments is set up according to their treaty. And each of our treaties are separate. They're not one big treaty. So, and then also there was a time in the early, I want to say 40s and 50s, where some of the tribes lost their federal recognition, and in that they lost reservation ground. So Warm Springs, Confederated Tribes of Umatilla, and I believe there's one down in the southern Oregon. There were only 3 tribes in the state of Oregon that were able to hold their treaties through that program. And each of the 9 federally recognized tribes, the other, like the Grand Ronde tribe, was able to be reinstated, Klamath tribe was reinstated. And I can't remember which one was the other one that was able to hold on to their, when you're looking at the size of our reservations, that's a big piece of what happened to our tribes, is some tribes lost that. And I can't remember what it was called, I have it written down in another notebook. So each of our tribes has similar setups, but not the exact same.
You know, when we, I'm gonna dive into, I know you all must have questions too, but I'm gonna think of my own questions, and I feel very much like a learner in the potential of partnerships between our Y2P sites, our VR offices, and our tribal partners. And I think of your team as a model. I wonder if you, and even Diane, if you would be willing to maybe talk about, like, when you start working with a student, what's the first thing you do? What's the next thing you do? A little bit of process so that people can see what they might do. And if they don't have that relationship built yet, where would they start, do you think? If you could talk to any of that stuff, it would be wonderful.
So for tribal VR, again, we do not work with youth directly. We don't provide services, paid services directly to youth. So most of ours starts with the YTP and with Diane. And then they will bring us in, they will offer the opportunity for clients to include us in their plan. And we have sat in on several opportunities, several clients who were not federally recognized tribal members, who were not, who didn't even become tribal clients in the end. But at their request, we did sit through all of their services up to when they could have become clients. We had Diane and YTP were put them to work before we even got to be signed partners. So that was wonderful. But we're there to offer, even if we're just in the background, we offer those services. Diane could probably tell you more.
So what happens with YTP is I get a call from the YTP specialist that she has a student who is interested in VR services. YTP in our area is relatively new. It began in 2019, I think it was, correct me if I'm wrong, Janine, but I think it was 2019, and before that, the responsibility fell to me to go in and out of the schools as much as I could, which wasn't often, to try and gather information about students who might need VR services. I'm a one counselor office, and my coverage area is from Ukiah all the way down to the Washington state border, down the Highway 11 corridor. So it didn't leave me much time to get into schools. With the YTP specialists on board, they began sending referrals over to us. What takes place is I meet with them at the intake, and when I'm going through our what's called a service questionnaire, which is our request for service document, there is a section on there for them to check if they are in fact enrolled tribal members or in the process of trying to enroll. When I meet with someone for the intake, that's one of the first things I look at. If in fact they are tribal or wanting tribal to connect with tribal, then we make sure that they are part of our process going forward. We get releases for tribal signed at the same time that they do hours during the intake, and tribal is invited to all the meetings thereafter. As much as possible, if tribal is able and the student is okay with it, I will start the meeting, because VR is the point where the student first connected with VR services, whether tribal or VR. I'll start the meeting and then I'll pass it off to either Susie or Janine to carry the meeting and run it with the student after that. And then I just usually interject, because most of the time the tribal students are more open, more comfortable, and more happy when they can talk direct with other tribal members. So I try to honor that. And Susie and Janine are able to really work successfully with them, and until they're 18. Once they're 18, if the student wants to continue to work with them, then they will open a case for them if they are an enrolled member or able to get enrolled. Until that point, from the age of 14 to 18, State VR carries them and invites, as Janine had shared, tribal book rehab to the meetings at the student's request. Does that answer all of that?
Well, it's just, I think for me, I can't speak for anybody else, but it helps me to see the process from different perspectives. Just to, yeah, so yes, thank you.
There's a question in the chat.
There's a question in the chat. How far does Selects reach?
You would have to check with them, because I know that they reach into Portland, but I don't know what their service area is. Some of them are by county, some of them are by, like ours is a mileage, so it depends on what their grant states.
So if I am living in Southern Oregon and I'm not sure which tribal area I might be residing in, or my student might reside in, who would I call to figure that out? Is there a specific, would I just ask for tribal VR within one of those 5 areas?
I would, yes.
Yeah.
If you look at student, this map, these tell you, so right here is Klamath is your southern partner, but how far do they serve? So
great.
And they only serve Klamath tribal members.
Right.
So
Thank you. CJ found some info online about Selects and put it in the chat. Alexa Little, I see you have a question. Please ask, unmute yourself and ask.
Figured it'd be easier to verbally ask this than to actually write it. So I work in Willamina High School, and I had a previous student, they graduated, so they're no longer there. But they were part of Tribal VR. However, when I was going through the YTP database, they weren't entered in there, and it had something to do with because they were in tribal, they couldn't be counted as YTP, something like that. So I don't know if you can clarify that and how that works and how it would count towards numbers, or how it would look in the database. Do we enter them in the database? Because I've heard no, I've heard it depends. That's my question. I don't know if that's a lot of, context, but there you go.
So I'll take some parts of it, and those of you with other experience take others. But from where I sit, if a person, an adult, and it depends on the grant, right? But if they're over 18, are receiving services from TVR, then they would be getting those services from TVR. We could still be doing pre-employment transition services. That's where it gets a little bit tricky. So OVR, Oregon VR, could be doing pre-ETs. And we could even probably be doing planned pre-ETs. This is the question mark I'm not sure about. So other people, Diane, CJ, Janine, Jacqueline, you may want to weigh in on that.
16, then they would be on the YTP database in Umatilla because they don't transfer.
Or
to
8, yeah, and it depends on the age. So yes, it's a great question, and it's a layered, it depends answer exactly as
So
you.
I need to go to Tribal VR. Who do I go to find out if they will be in the database or not?
Well, the age of the person for your specific person is what? What's the age of the person?
Well, they're over 18. They graduated last year, so.
Okay, and then they would not be in the YTP database, but they could be in the pre-ETS database if they're still under 21 and a student and receiving pre-ETS.
Okay, and so if they're under 18, you can put them into the YTP database?
If they're getting plan services from Oregon VR and the local grant doesn't serve students under 18. I'm not sure about that for the tribes other than Umatilla, what we're learning right now from Janine and Jacqueline. Anybody else want to weigh in on that? If I don't, I think I'm interpreting that right, but. Yeah, lots to learn. I think we have to approach all of this, you guys, with humility and curiosity and just understanding that what we're trying to do is build relationships between our organizations so that our students can get all the services that are available to them and be thinking about lifelong community identity and support. That's the way that I come at this. And there's like I would need like a matrix to make sense of all of it. Maybe someday we could do that. That's very aspirational, but not about anytime soon.
And there's another question.
Oh, yeah,
here.
let's keep going.
I have a senior at Churchill High School who is with the Selects. I am interested in seeing if he can or will be part of YTP. So he can be part of he can, you can help him see if he wants tribal VR.
Mhm.
If he's under a certain age, he might be YTP, or if he's over a certain age, he might be tribal VR.
Mhm.
But you can, as we saw, this partnership is about helping the kid, and whether you do pre-eds or you put them in your YTP database, the most important part is that the kid gets, or the young person gets the services they need.
Yeah.
He's 17, so depending on the grant that the Selects have, can they serve kids only when they're 18? That's the
Right.
Umatilla grant. We don't know the Selects grant.
Right.
So
Correct.
Depends how far the Silet's boundary is too.
And
Right.
please correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is the individual has a choice to work with Oregon VR or tribal VR also. So it's am I correct in that, friends?
We can all work together.
Yeah.
We work with our YTP person, we work with Diane, we work with other programs. So, and then one of the biggest things is we have to be transparent with our plans and we have to share information so that there is no duplication of services.
Yep.
So they have
And
to choose between tribal and state VR to be able to go
no,
through?
No,
they can work with both programs at the same time. It makes for a very robust process for the client because it creates a bigger team around them, helping to make them successful. But I wanted to weigh in and let you know that because of what Janine shared earlier, there's a lot of history of trauma that has occurred for Native Americans in the past. And with that, I have had clients, sometimes students and adult tribal clients, will let me know they've been referred to state VR because it's all they know and they're not aware that there's a tribal VR until I share that with them. And they have let me know that they prefer to only work with tribal. And I'm okay with that because it's what makes them the most comfortable, which means it's where they're going to find the greatest success.
VR can provide, so it may be that the transition specialist provides pre-eds and the partner does some of the other work, so.
That's what we do out here, Terry. I asked the transition specialist, I don't know how others do it, but I asked the transition specialist to provide most of the pre-eds, and so that tribal and I can help the client with it. It gives us a little bit more room to be able to get as much done as possible, especially when with tribal there's just 3 of them. And for me, there's only 1. And so all the help we can get is better for the client. And besides that, it makes, again, a bigger team around that client. And out here, we call ourselves their cheer squad and tell them that we're cheerleaders and they're going to be successful with us around them cheering them. So the more support they have, the better.
I like that next question.
Another question here. If the student doesn't know if they are part of a tribe, how do I help them find that out?
so most should know. But we have had a couple cases where they were in foster care or outside of their own reservation. And you can talk to them about their heritage and find out, if they know, oh, my mom was enrolled blah, 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 and then we can go to we sign and get releases of information and then ask, just go forward now. We were working with one young man who unfortunately dropped off of my radar, but I know he was not enrolled. And we were trying to gather information because his family tribe was from the Sioux Reservation back in Montana. And so we were doing everything we could to connect to our enrollment program to find out how to get a hold of that enrollment program, to find out what information, what documentation we needed, and where we go from there.
Thank you. So we're scratching the surface on this topic, I think. What's most important while we have everybody on here is just to be thinking about what are you doing, what could you be doing differently to build relationships together between our tribal VR partners, our Oregon VR offices, branches, our YTP transition teams. Yeah, this is awesome. Other questions?
You can just Google tribal vocational programs in your area and find who the closest one is. And then ask make connections, ask them what their service area is, ask them how they provide services, how we could hook up a client or a possible client. Move forward.
Yeah, when you were mentioning all of the services available before through your entire health clinic, you know what I mean, like all of the resources, the youth programming that you also have, it can just provide something much more robust. I like that word that you used, Diane, robust and kind of well-rounded in just a kind of a package for service.
We had a client that lived outside the area, he moved into our area. And we were able to, because of the documentation that we're required to gather for services, we were able to gather the documentation that's required by the tribal health clinic to get him into services with the tribal health clinic, so he's covered in the area for medical. That's a huge expense for a lot of people, and young people don't realize that, oh, they won't go to the doctor. And here we have if we can get them into the service area for the tribe, they can utilize those services.
Yeah, that's awesome. Right. Any other questions or comments? Stories?
I'd like to say that I worked with the Grand Ronde tribe vocal rehabilitation for about 3 or 4 years up in Portland area. I found them very easy to work with. They were just great, and I encourage everybody to get to know your local tribal voc rehab folks. They do a great job, and I had no problem working with them.
Thank you for sharing that, John. All right.
Oh wait, we're still sharing our screen.
Hello. We're wrapping up here to the end. I think it's been a good and fruitful discussion.
Here we go. Susie has joined us for the discussion.
Susie's the director of the Umatilla tribe. So thank you for being here, Susie, and helping us arrange all of this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to join you earlier, but I think you all did good work, so appreciate you all.
Great. Well, do you guys have any other questions about this at all? If you do, please put them in the chat. The PowerPoint presentation will be available on the website with this community practice. And I think just please be encouraged and inspired through this to reach out to your local TVR partners and see what is possible and how we can be partnering together with more intention for our shared students.
Can I ask?
Can I ask one question? Because I just want to clarify, is the advice to just Google for Lane County? I didn't see any tribal representation. So I was wondering, would it just be to Google who would be closest to us, or yeah, or does somebody have a recommendation?
I think that Lane County is covered by the Grand Ronde and maybe the Silex. They have quite a few counties within their service district, so I think if you go on to their website, to those two tribes' websites, they will tell you the counties they serve and who the contact person is, so.
Thank you. That's great.
And in the chat here, I put this up a little bit earlier too, but this is a link to the 9 federally recognized tribes websites with more info you can dial down into.
Thank you for the presentation.
They might have VR programs. The rest of them have education departments that you can work with and those type of things. So depending on what services you're looking for within the 9.
Thank you,
Those are
Garrett.
the 5 VR programs.
And Garrett just stuck a link into the 5 tribal VR programs page.
And there are links to those tribes on that
Link.
website. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, you guys, 3 minutes left here. We do have one announcement to make about next year's intergovernmental agreement. And what we wanted to be able to share with you today is that we've been given the green light to move ahead with amendments. This is good news, I think. So we're going to be amending the grant for 1 year. And we want to share the information. Just got this thumbs up, green light to move forward with this last Thursday. And so we're going to be creating materials that help everybody understand, but we're basically going to just be looking for a new budget narrative, and we're going to share details of timeline, requirements, et cetera, at the December 5th Community of Practice. That's with administrators and business office folks. So we want to make sure admin and business are at that community of practice, somebody from your site, and then we'll share it with all of you at a larger, our normal community of practice on December 12th. Okay.
Where was all the cheering? Oh, come on. I saw one clapping hands from
I saw some
CJ,
smiles.
but there was no like screaming or yelling in the background from anyone.
I was screaming my full head off. I just
Oh,
had,
good. Okay, Mary, yes, you pulled it off, but we didn't hear you.
I kept it on mute for you.
So we're going to keep it as streamlined and simplified as possible. More details to come. Please can you help us get an admin or business office person at the December 5th community of practice that's just for them. And then the December 12th one, like our typical one right now that we're all in, we'll share that information with you too. But we're trying to honor that contractual relationship, contract admin thing where we share it with the administrators and business office people first.
Will you be contacting them also? Like, will we just be secondary?
Yeah.
New people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, good. Fantastic. Okay.
There
We're
are two
up-
questions, Michelle.
Yes.
One is, do we get admin there? You will contact
Yeah,
them.
we
and
are,
correct.
yes, so from all of the updated contacts that we got while we were out in regionals, I've updated all those, I've sent out the invite. This team, our TAPs are gonna do a save the date, put this on your calendar thing with all the admins. And just, this is just like you're, helping reinforce all of that, but we are making our own efforts.
Second question is, well, letters going out and said that, and then we have somebody said, sorry, I really don't know what the green light and add amendments mean.
Totally, yes.
Still learning, so you
So,
might help them.
Yes, this means you don't have to apply for a brand new YCP contract.
You want me to put it in English? You don't have to go through the whole grant process.
Yeah, yeah. It's just
have to provide a budget. That's it.
And it's for 1 year.
It's
too.
for 1 year. We're just looking at 1 year right now because we still don't have this report. We assume we'll have it by then.
It's a raised hand too.
Okay, and a raised hand. Who's got their hand raised?
Susie.
Susie.
Hi,
Susie.
Chan. One is that pre-tribes service Portland area, depending on their service areas, and that would be Warm Springs, Celeste, and Grand Ronde.
Okay.
And the next, CJ has said that we do provide pre-ex. Our education department provides summer employment, which you could gather pre-ex services from. Tribal VR, unless it's written in their grant, it's not in ours, cannot provide pre-ex. Because of the 15% set aside to voc rehab, the money comes from there and not from the tribal dollars. So that that's at a federal level. So please know that we can help you get to those pre-ex areas within our tribes. But we do not provide pre-ex services unless someone is 18 years old and they're coming to our program. So we provide outreach.
Did
Thank
you
you for
say a
that
time on the
clarification.
5th for administrators and business?
The time for that, guys, the FAQ will be updated tomorrow on the website on the 5th. With administrators, it's 11 to 12 via Zoom. Tell them to watch for the invite from me. Actually sent it today already. All right, thanks, guys. We're at time. We can hang out just a few more minutes, but sorry this went so quickly. Susie, Janine, Jacqueline, thank you so much for that. I'm excited to see where all of this goes. It's just the beginning. Thank you for being willing to help us go there.